We're going to get started right now. Gunilchish, Pikachuan, Yikecha. Thank you, all of you. It is very good today. Suhakakewa. The sun has dawned on us again. Daylight has dawned on us. To Yayagicha, Adayachagachtune Kayukatangi. Today I would like to talk for us to work a little bit on speech making, some of that, just to touch a little bit on it, and also go over what we've been doing already. Some of the vowels and the sounds, just so that we're able to read it. But first, I wanted to go over or read something from one of the books my auntie wrote for us. And it's A.P. Johnson's speech back in 1971. This one's from Patu Naguyis. And I want to touch a little bit on this because I feel when we're making speeches, I want people to understand what we're doing when we're making speeches, what we're talking about, and how we're trying to relay our feelings. That's something my grandfather Andrew Johnny said. He said when we do these things, we're expressing our feelings to each other, using our stories. And but on another one, my Uncle Austin Hammond said is that this is how we are showing respect to each other. We use these stories, these parables. And so here's one of the best ways that I can talk to you about it, or feel like this is a really good example, and is this speech from A.P. Johnson. My Aunt Nora, when she was writing these books, I believe she said it took her 2 years just to transcribe one story or one speech. That's how long it took her, because she wanted it to be right. She wanted it to be perfect. She wanted nothing to be left unsaid, or because, like I said, in Tlingit, we have a hard time translating. We have in English, especially ceremonial Tlingit. And so we'll cover a little bit today on this one, the speech making. So like I said, I'll cover a little bit of some cultural stuff, and then we can go over sounds and on some words. And if there's any questions, then we can go ahead and finish that. But this speech, like I said, that was by A.P. Johnson. Tlingit yu yen page yideka kwatan kayukatangi hi nichkene kut kayachiti kekatin. Hin wanch uwag agi khatayu tukech ay akat achel hash akakech en chawya kawhai khatu inchnastich. Ye way ti kayukatangi to teach. What he said, a person will often say, I'm going to speak to you. Public speaking is like a man walking up along a river with a gaff hook. He lets his gaff hook drift over a salmon swimming at the edge of the river. When he hooks it, the salmon way over there becomes one with him. This is the way oratory is. Even speech delivered at a distance becomes one with somebody. And that's the way this is the way oratory speeches are. When we speak in public, we're trying to convey our feelings. And that's why you hear the opposite people when we're speaking. We hear them say or you hear them say yewa, eka, hawasa. These different things. It's when they're agreeing with you, and it's so that in English you wait for, when somebody's speaking, you wait for them till they're done. But in Tlingit oratory, we interject as we hear somebody saying something that's right or we agree with them. So that's what you're hearing, and that's what we're doing. Used to hear that a lot with our payoff parties, at our payoff parties, or any public event, and now it's becoming something that's um, you don't hear it as much anymore. And so that's why I wanted to cover a little bit on this. I guess from now on, or if there's ever any questions about the culture, let me know and I'll try and explain it. If not, then I'll just bring up little things like this and trying to explain it the best I can. So when we're saying these things, we're using examples from our stories, our personal clan stories, to convey our feelings. And let's see, when sometimes, and these are called parables. We use parables to convey those feelings, how we feel about whoever we're talking to. Maybe it's our grandparents, maybe it's our clan grandchildren, or our clan children. And so we talk to them as if we're the grandparent. So when I talk to, I know some of my clan grandchildren are Dakdaintan or Shukachadi or Suknachadi. When I talk to them, that's how I address them. Sometimes I might say, Akhietchi, Hadechkan Kisani, my children, my grandchildren. Yai Datoincha Kodetani. Right now, right now, it's going to be as if your fathers are addressing you right now. So I'm going to talk to them. And when we're hurting, I think of, I think back to, this is why we say this isn't me when we talk, because these aren't our words. These are the words of somebody else that we're using. And so that's why we say this isn't me. And this example is I'm going to use now is David Katzik. I always called him Achon Chayuach Achwat Yuun. I always addressed him as my older brother. And so he would say that when we're hurt, who do we run to except our fathers people or our grandparents when we're hurt as kids. And so that's the way I'll address them. So that's why we say this isn't me, that you're going to hear your father's people at this moment. You're going to hear your grandparents' words. It's as if they're coming out for you. It's as if you can see their very face. And that's how much love our people had for each other. That we use these things because the atu that we use is it's not ours. It's the clan owns it, and then the person who has it's whoever's clan, whoever is how do I say this? They're taking care of it. Whoever's possession it is with that one person, they're just a caretaker, but it belongs to the whole clan. The definition of atu, one of the that my auntie wrote down is tzatiat, which means a masterless item, a masterless thing. And so we just become caretakers, but it belongs to the whole clan. That's why we put money on it. The whole clan puts money on it, and then we kill it. We kill the money, and then it doesn't belong to anybody anymore. And then we hand out the money to the guests that we see out in the audience, and we pay them for witnessing, or if they worked for the clan. Those are the things that we do for the clan. And so, any questions about oratory? Okay. So that's what we're trying
Paul.
to do.
Paul. Chateyach one line. Uh, on you're talking here where you say, um, my children,
Mhm.
it's of your father's people. So if a woman was going to say that, say tonight, and she was going to address the opposite clan, she wouldn't say would she? Because she's a
No, because
woman.
we inside, yeah.
But
So
if a woman was going to address the opposite clan, what would she say? Fly
see,
nadi, nadi, nachsati,
uh,
nachsati ah.
let me see.
Just a question.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. He's Jesse Dalton's speech. Jesse was very good at um, relaying the information. Very good. My auntie Nora always referred to hers, and I see why, because that's how you're supposed to use the atu, the way she used it. Um, so here's one. Tlahuasakaki yau dihuni hastu da yutohatan yikanian. And she said, yes, how very much it is as if they're revealing their faces. So how I'm thinking about them, your sisters-in-law. So that's one way. If a woman was asked to speak, that's how they would address it, or how she would convey this. Or ye are us, your father, sisters, or your grandmother. That's one way of addressing them, and it depends on the who you're using. So that's how she addressed it, and she used those atu as very poetically that when, like I said, when our people would talk, it's as if we're watching TV and we could hear them. So she painted the picture so well that the people were often the grandchildren of the person who had passed on the father's side. So when you see them, that's why we say that it's as if we're seeing our grandmother or our grandfather or our auntie or uncle, whoever the relationship was to us. And that's why it invokes that spirit during the party of healing. It helps heal us, and that's why our people would get so emotional, is because they would paint the picture so well that we see them. And that's what they're trying to do. Our people were psychologists. We knew what our body needed to let go of grief, and so this is how we did it. Every people up and down the coast have different ways of doing it, but this is how we did it for our people. And that's why a long time ago, one thing I noticed nowadays is they say, we don't cry, which isn't correct. We cried hard. Listen to the old recordings of payoff parties. Um, they were crying hard for each other because it was the last time. This, and symbolically, this is the last time we're gonna cry for them. We're letting them go now. We're letting them go to the other side. And I heard in one of the speeches them say that this is the last rites of passage for the people. Whoever we're grieving for, it's their last rites because we're letting them go now. And symbolically, we're doing that when we do the cry songs. We're letting them go now. And they would even hire people to cry. They would hire people to cry for them. I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to ask. It's escaping me. Um, they would hire women to cry to help invoke that spirit. Sometimes we want to fight it, and then we see somebody else getting emotional, and we can't help it. The tears start flowing, and so that's what they would do is hire people oftentimes to help with that. Um, my uncle Johnny, Johnny Marks, he called them professional criers, because that's what they were hired for. So there's a lot of things that our people are forgetting, and it's because we don't do it anymore. And even listening to some of the old celebration tapes from that Sealaska's posted on YouTube, there's a lot of things in there that I haven't seen since I was a kid. I'm fairly young, but I was at the tail end of all those people talking just in Tlingit. So that's how I came to understand it and speak it. I remember some of my first memories, most of my memories as a young child were of being in the Raven House with my dad, seeing the elders in there talking in Tlingit, and that's all I would hear. And my grandmother Emma, she refused to speak English, so that's where we learned it. Was just by hearing it all the time, and then we moved away to Anchorage for a few years, and then I moved to Cake, and then it was just like a light switch. First couple, um, maybe a month or two, I could understand what they were saying. I was like, and then that's all they would speak to me in there in Cake. And it was like a light switch. All of a sudden, it just flipped on, and it came back out again. So, because I remember hearing nothing but Tlingit, just like the tapes and at the payoff parties. And so if you ever go to a payoff party, I try to speak just in Tlingit the same way I heard our grandparents say it, because the kids that are there, maybe they're gonna grasp something, and when they get older, they're gonna remember it. And that's my hope, and that's why I try to speak in just in Tlingit at payoff parties, and I'll try to explain what I know and the way I understand it, because I don't want us to for things to become a tradition. We say tradition because we do things without knowing why we're doing it, and that's why it becomes tradition. Um, one analogy that my older brother David Katzik always used was Thanksgiving dinner. Um, One of the grandchildren asked mom, mom was cooking dinner, and he asked her mom, "How come we cut the ends off of the ham?" And he's like, "I don't know. You got to go ask your grandma." And so the grandchild went and asked Grandma, how come we cut the ends off of the ham? She said, "I don't know. That's just what my mom used to do. You got to go ask your great grandma." And so he went and asked Great grandma, how come we cut the ends off of the ham? And she said, because the ham was or the pot was too small for the ham. So I had to cut it to make it fit the pot. So that's what happens, what I see now. We start to do things and we don't know why, um, at our parties. And I'll try and explain some things. And this one is a very good one. This book will also explain in there the Kuik, some things of why we do stuff, like the Kan Katsiki. We all do that, and there was a way they used to do it, which we don't do it anymore. But if you listen to the old tapes of the parties, you'll hear them doing it different than we do now. Um, I think we've adapted it. It's become the way we do it now. It becomes it's something that just became part of the culture now, because the whole coast, we've accepted that's how we do it. But in the Kankatsiki, we put all the things that that person we're honoring, their favorite candies. These parties aren't about us. They're about the person who's gone on. We make it all about them. Their favorite meals, their favorite candies, their favorite trinkets, anything that reminds us of them. So when we see these things, it takes us back to them, and we remember the good things. So let's see. my grandma. So when we did my grandma Pauline's party, what we did was anything my grandmother loved. She loved peaches and she loved watermelon. She loved fruits. So at her party, we got a bunch of peaches and handed it out just to and explained why. So throughout the whole party, we're explaining things, why people are getting this and that. And her favorite thing, another favorite was Thanksgiving dinner. So we did turkey dinner for one of the meals, and like I said, it's all about that person. In the beginning, it's all about death. So it's very. I remember my grandma Pauline when we were kids going to parties in Haynes, and she was there. We weren't allowed to run around, especially in the beginning. She'd tell us, "No, you guys sit down." We couldn't even use the restroom. She said, "They're talking. You got to wait till they're done talking." That's how much she said. That's later on. She said that's how much respect we have. They're saying something important, so we have to wait till they're done talking. It'll be rude for us to get up and walk and do something else. So that's what she told us as kids, and that's the way we were raised. And so uh, the beginning is about death, and we invoke some of the, let's see, we called it Shuvuslach. The beginning is called the battle cry, and the spirit to help us uh, guide us through the party is what I heard one of the elders say, and that's why we sing those songs to help us. Um, Even the opposite clan would do that sometimes. I heard Matthew Fred Yi Ish Has Ikachtu Hehwa. Your father's people are going to do a song for you so that you're do nothing bad comes on you. I heard Matthew Fred say that at the beginning of a party, and so um, that's some of the things that I see that we're forgetting, and I can see some things that we don't do anymore, and it's I just want us to want that all to come back so we understand each other and it brings more respect for our people. It's the biggest thing I want is us all to um, understand why we do what we do. It's no longer tradition. I can't speak for other clans. I can only speak on my own and explain why we do things within my clan. And there's a lot of other recordings of speakers explaining it. The first celebrations, 82 especially, what they were doing was like a was like how they do a party in each region, how they would respond to it, and how they would talk to each other, how much respect we have for each other. That's what we're doing when we talk to each other. We're showing our respect, and especially because that's our fathers or our grandparents' people. Um, it was always somebody that was tied to us or we're interrelated. So, any questions about the party? Okay. So I know sometimes we have different ways. Let's see. We have one, two, three, four, five different ways of saying an L sound in Tlingit. We have the voiceless one, which like I said, it's just you put your tongue on the back of your teeth and you just let the air out. And then the old writing system, they put a bar through it, so it looked like an L, but has a bar through the middle of it, and that makes the sound. And some linguists called it the Indian L, because I believe only Native Americans and some people in Central America make that sound. And so the example we use for that is teeth, 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 which is your shoes that you put on your feet, or yes, raven. And remember, I said it's important to say it correctly because it's just one slight change, like this one, teeth. I don't know if you can hear the difference. Teeth. We call that the pinched L. Teeth and teeth. Teeth is a dog salmon. So then there's yes and yes, the pinch L. Sometimes when best way I can explain it, I guess, is you're kind of rolling your tongue. The sides of your tongue is where the one that's rolling. When you say that pinched L, yes, which is elderberries. Yes. And then we have the TL sound. So you keep your tongue in the same spot, but you're trying to say the T and L at the same time. And it comes out the sides. Kate, Kate, Kate. Or Tla, Tla. So there's two, in Tlingit, there's two ways of saying Tla, mom. So that's when you're saying, Ach Tla Aya, this is my mom. But if you're trying to call her or address your mom, like if I'm saying mom, trying to get her attention, I would say Atli. So it changes. Atli. Or say your child is wants something to eat, that's how they would address you or call you. Atli achiti waha, mom, I'm hungry. So it's different. So tla is the word for when you're just trying to say like, this is my mom. But when you're addressing her, it's atli. Sometimes different speakers will also say atle. Slight difference. Remember, I said we talk. Some of the dialects are different, and it's very subtle. That's one of them. Atle. It's like going. We all speak English in America, but we go down south. They say they have a southern drawl. That's the way it is in Tlingit. It sounds just slightly different. And then the pinch TL. I guess when you see that, all you're doing is holding your breath for a quick second. So tlot, tlot is the little yellow bird. I don't know if you've ever seen them. It's the word for yellow, or I don't remember the English name for them, but they're all yellow birds, small yellow songbird. We call them tlot. You got that, Rose? And then
warbler.
Yeah, yellow warbler. And then the DL sound that we make, dl. So we're shifting from saying d and o, the L sound at the same time. Dl. We start off with the D, but then we transfer it to the L sound. Dl. Glate. Glate means snow. Glatak was tan in Nistad. It was snowing last night. Any questions about the L sounds? So in English, we say tleka yukatangi, the English language. There's also another word, the original word we called them was gudski kwani. Gudski kwani was the original word for white people, or white people, because their skin looked their skin was white to us and reminded us of the clouds. And when they came in on the boat, the sails were white, so it looked like they were in clouds. So that's what we referred to them as. Some of the original words. There's a song. Let's see. There's a song about them first coming in, and I believe it's Ducktington. I have the recording. I don't know if you can hear it. Let's see if I can find it real quick. So songs, recorded historical events, and so did names. I believe it's a true Canadian name. Tan refers to when they first found a nail. They found a board with a nail sticking in it. And so when they found the first nail board with a nail in it, they um, wanted to remember that event, and so that's one of the names that came from it. I believe it was Louis Shotridge that documented that Tan, and then there's also another. They shortened that to just Tan, and it refers to the way the nail was sticking out of the board. I don't know. Can you hear it? So in that song, let's see, they heard something as the sailors were coming in, and that's what you hear towards the end of the song when they're going, "Ee." That's what they heard when they were coming in, so they wanted to remember that. So in the songs, uh, you'll hear things that the process of our people and what they wanted to remember, and that's what they heard and wanted us to remember what was important. Not So when they saw them coming in, that's what they wanted to compose the song about. Um, so names, names and songs um, were ways of our people documenting parts of history. I remember my auntie Nora saying that too. She said, "I don't know how come we don't make names anymore because we're still creating history for our people. You know, we're still here." So ways of remembering things or historical events, composing songs about them, and it's all poetry. The way that they wrote it and explained it in the songs. Songs are really hard to translate, and then it's even harder to translate names, the old names, without knowing the story behind it. Because, like I said, they all document something within our clan's history or an historical event. Um, so with the TL sounds or the L sounds, those are the examples that we use. Not another one that a lot of people have a hard time with is the G sound. So gooch and gooch, you're almost trying to swallow that G sound. You say it in the back of your throat. Gooch, which is a wolf. And if you just say gooch, that means a hill. So it's very important to really practice that sound, saying it right here. Gooch, gooch. As it becomes easier too, a lot of these sounds almost become subtle. Um, let's see, when I talked to some certain women speakers, some of the sounds are very faint, almost like when you talk to them. That's what I've noticed. My grandma would do that once in a while. Um, but if you know the language, you can hear it. It's a little softer. Sounds a little softer to somebody, and they might translate it wrong, or they might transcribe it wrong. But it's because the speakers won't always won't sound like it is, but they are making the sound like we normally hear it, or I guess hear it when we're taught in school. We overemphasize it so that you can hear it. Let's see, another example is when we say you khatangi, you khatangi. It's when I say it, if you hear it, it's a little softer. But when we teach that sound, we overemphasize it by going we try to overemphasize it, so you're hearing it a little different, and then it becomes um, more normal to overemphasize than saying it naturally. Like I'll say you khatangi, so it's a little softer, and then when you hear it, like it's ha, ha. That's how. So what I'll try to do is say it as I naturally would. Um, the, so if you're saying a hill, Rose, gooch is just spelt the way you spelt it right there. If you want to say wolf, the G is underlined. Gooch, gooch. So it looks like there's 5 letters, but there's really only three sounds. When we underline G is one sound. Remember the vowels are the same, stay the same. So the double O is one sound, CH is one sound. Pooch. 5 letters, but 3 sounds. Let's see. Let's see if I can find another one. I can't find one right now. So those, and then also when you add the W to it, it's like, where to go? So let's say Guej, Guej. That W you're doing is you're just adding, you're pursing your lips while you say it. G. So, in English, the G makes a G sound. But now with the W on there, we purse our lips when we say it. Gu, gu, guej, guej, guej. And then the underline G, chiquena, chiquena. So wrangle and cake, the way we would say it is chiquena, chiquena, chiquena. So you can hear a little slight difference, but both mean the same thing. Chiquena is how I would say it. Same goes for handkerchief or like tissue when to blow your nose. Chiquena, chiquena. Or if it's a napkin when you're at the dinner table, chagwena, chagwena, because it's for your mouth now. And chiquena, a towel, chiquena. Any questions? Yeah, I can type those real quick. So the first one is how, I don't got the keyboard yet, so the H just means it's underlined, chiquena, chiquena. Chiquena, chiquena. And there's one for the ladies, Yawena, which is makeup. Remember, the beginning kind of tells you which part or what you're using. So j is your hand, chiquena, your hand, something, your hand towel. So when you wipe something, you're doing that motion. Chiquena, you're wiping your nose. Chiquena, you're wiping your mouth. Yawena, when women put on makeup, they're doing that motion too. So like I said, it's very descriptive, our words. Any questions? But, I think we'll cut class a little short today. I gotta head out to another class early today, so thank you all for listening to me. And for giving me your attention and your time.